last week here on The Morning Show, the former Deputy Governor of Delta State, Kingsley Otuaro, called for truth, justice and fair electoral delineation as the only pathway to lasting peace in Warri federal constituency, blaming historical ethnic dominance struggles and institutional failures for the persistent tension despite a Supreme Court ruling. Otuaro said the Supreme Court had already delivered a definitive judgment ordering the Independent National Electoral Commission to discard the old ward arrangement in Warri federal constituency and conduct a fresh delineation based on population. However, he lamented that the decision was not implemented, fueling tensions among the Ijo, Urobo, and Itsekeri ethnic groups. The former deputy governor further explained that the Nigerian Constitution, sections 49, 72, and 75, demand that electoral ward delineation be based on population for fair democratic representation. According to him, the existing arrangement in Warri is a flagrant abuse of this principle. On the broader question of how to achieve sustainable peace in Warri, Otuaro concluded that structural changes may be necessary. Well, joining us on the show for a right of reply to the former deputy governor's take on the Warri delineation crisis in Delta State is Chief Mene Brown, the Ogwa Oluson of Warri Kingdom, alongside Chief Ayirimi Emami, an Itsekeri leader and APC chieftain. Says, good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning and thank you for having us again.
Thank you, Chief. A number of issues on the table. First, I would like Chief Ayirimi Emami.
A leader, not a chief.
Who?
You rightly introduced him as a leader, yes, but not a chief.
Oh, Ayirimi Emami is not a chief.
That's
okay,
right.
Leader Emami. To respond to some of the details put on the table by Kingsley Otuaro. But I would like you are a chief, definitely, by your regalia, to respond to those two issues at the heart of this matter. One, the Itsekeris are claiming that they are owners of the land in Warri Southwest, Warri South, Warri North, as determined in a number of cases. Edudu and Okumagba, that was between Okere people and families, two major families in Okere Urubo. There was the case, Agbasa Urubo case, which was a matter between Itsekeri land trustees and then, some other groups. And then, of course, you have the Ometa versus the Itsekeris also, which was between Agbasa Urubo. That case was between Agbasa Urubo and the Itsekeris, declaring that Itsekeris own the land. The question is, who owns the land? Because this latest ward delineation is based on a Supreme Court ruling, which is the latest ruling in time.
Yes.
Number two issue that I would like you to respond to is this issue about ward delineation. And, the Itsekeris are claiming that INEC was working to a predetermined answer in the delineation.
Exactly.
And that is unfair to the Itsekeris. That where does that leave Itsekeris in terms of, the situation pre-1914? So those are historical and legal issues that I would like you to respond to. But as to Leader Emami, well, I'm sure you watched the interview with former Deputy Governor Otuaro. What's your reaction to some of the points he made about saying that it's the Itsekeris that are proving difficult in this matter? Okay, maybe we'll start with the historical and legal background.
Right, okay.
Yes, let's start with you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to give you a historical scenario that should give us a background on which to rest all of this, as well as the Supreme Court judgments that have been on it. Prior to 1894, when the war with Nana brought us under the purview of the British colonialists, we lived as a kingdom for centuries. And those around us knew where the boundaries were between us and them. Then, of course, in 1894, when the British brought us on to what they were stringing together to eventually become colonial Nigeria, we, as from 1914, when we then became a Nigerian state, the Nigerian state was subdivided into provinces. So you had Oyo province, Benin province, Warri province, and I emphasize that, Warri province. And then the province was subdivided into divisions. So you had the Abo division, you have the Western Ijaw division, you have the Eastern Ijaw division, and then you have Jekri Sobo division. Jekri being Itsekeri, Sobo being the Urhobos. But somewhere along the line, the Urhobos agitated that by being put in the same division as us, they were being dominated. And so the divisions were further split. So you now have Warri division as distinct from Western Urhobo division and Eastern Urhobo division. Now, Warri division, this division was therefore done to accommodate the ethnic nationality homelands. This was very, very central to such division. And it was known, therefore, that what we had as Warri division was our homeland. And this is what has been subdivided, fast forward now, into Warri North, Warri Southwest, and Warri South local government areas. This is our homeland. And historically in those days, because someone had said they were living together peacefully, yes, because those who came to us in those days, when you went to an area that didn't belong to you, you would give yourself, present yourself to whoever was the authority and state your intent, whether to be allowed to stay. And if you were allowed to stay, you were also given a place. Is designated by the owner of the place as to where you stay. And this was how the Urhobos came, this was how the Ijaws came. And they recognized all of this, and they were playing peacefully. As a matter of fact, on an annual basis during festivals, they will undertake some chores in order to express their appreciation to us for being allowed to stay. And we gave them the liberty. So there was peace and harmony on that score. And then, of course, fast forward to the present day when perhaps the oncoming generation refused to admit the truth or were not told, so they therefore claim that wherever they are belongs to them in a radical sense of the word, and therefore no longer wants to recognize the generosity of the people who have allowed them to come and stay. Now, let me read for you, I don't want to paraphrase it, something from the Supreme Court. This is the Supreme Court's records. The Supreme Court judgment of Judgment 67, 1991, and 327, 1972, reported in 1973, 1-1 Supreme Court 189 to 234. This is the law report. 3 issues were dealt with there. The legal ownership by the Itsekeri communal land trustees. Number 2, the overlordship of Warri, or the Olu of Warri, and customary tenancy. And 3rd, the finality of the Itsekeri title. Now let me say what they have said.
Which case is this? No.
No, I'll mention it now. The justices are Udo Udoma. Sorry, I have interruption here. Udo Udoma, Shoemimo, and Ibekwe. The ruling is this. In the 1973 ruling, the court made these findings. Number 1, as I said, the ownership of the Itsekeri Communal Land Trust. Here's what the court says. The court held that, quote, the legal estate and all rights of titular ownership in and over land in Warri Division, remember what the division is, formally vested in and exercisable by the Olu of Warri on behalf of the Itsekeri community are now vested in and exercisable by the first claimants, that is Itsekeri Communal Land Trustees, also on behalf of the Itsekeri community. Number two, on the overlordship of the Olu of Warri and customary tenancy. Having reviewed a series of earlier judgments, including Privy Council decisions, the court affirmed that all non-Itsekeri occupants within Warri Division, specifically villages collectively known as Agbasa, that is Igbudu, Ekurede, Ogunu, etc., holds their land only as customary tenants under the overlordship of the Olu of Warri, as the court put it.
Okay. Thirdly,
there can be no doubt that the question of who the owners of Agbasa has been finally pronounced upon. It has always belonged to the Itsekeri people under the overlordship of the Olu of Warri. Any other person living in Igbudu or any part of Agbasa except an Itsekeri is a tenant. These are the
That should be Omota versus Chief Dore Numa.
That's right.
Okay. Omota versus Chief Dore Numa.
That's right. Finally, the finality of the Itsekeri title. By dismissing further appeals, including an earlier appeal to the Privy Council in Ometa versus Numa, 1926, 25, and so on, for its reference there, the Supreme Court commented that all lands in Warri Division are held for the benefit of the Itsekeri people.
Okay, Chief.
Okay.
Chief.
So you then
Chief
see...
Emami has been waiting.
Yes, if I may just round up this aspect of it.
Okay.
So,
the delineation you will talk about later.
Yeah. What you then have in Warri North, Warri South, Warri Southwest, this is the Warri Division. That is our homeland.
Okay, Chief Emami.
Okay, Chief Leader, Elder Emami, please, let's come to you quickly for your own intervention.
Hello?
Yes, please go ahead if you can hear us from the studio.
Yes, let me introduce myself properly, not by Mene Brown, Ruben Abasi.
Good morning.
Abasi, good morning, Rufai.
Morning.
I greet all of you.
Yeah.
You can hear me very well?
Yes, clearly.
Yeah, my names are Chief Ayirimi Emami, the Ologbo Sheriff of Warri. Yeah, that's the title owner that was given to me by traditional Olu. So I don't want to join issues with Mene Brown. We are here for common interest. If not, I shouldn't be sitting with him on the national TV. We don't need to watch our dirty linen out there. Those are internal issues that will be resolved at home. Why I'm here, I should just go straight to the point. Kingsley Otuaro, who was the former deputy governor, came on air last week Friday to tell some lies about the delineation of Warri federal constituency. But I'm here to put the record straight to everybody, and that is me. I don't take no nonsense. I go straight for the truth and I stand by the truth. Kingsley Otuaro sworn to an oath of office. He will not allow his personal interest to override the interests of the people. And I've called the Inspector General of Police to ensure that Kingsley Otuaro is arrested. The reasons are not far. And I will not want to dull your time or waste your time. The Delta State government I heard, I think one of his commissioner, one of his officer, saying some things about Warri. Since this crisis, the Delta State government have not come out to say anything. In terms of insecurity, he has not said anything. He's waiting, instead of him to try and avert the insecurity that will hit the state. His commissioner for information came on air, was saying things that were not right. So I honed that to the governor, that is the body language of the governor. That is me. Why I'm saying that I called for the arrest of Kingsley Otuaro, I just want to take you back just yesterday. Kingsley Otuaro was the former deputy governor of this state under Okowa. And that, in that position, it happens to be the chairman of anything that has to do with boundary. And we just had the issue of the PIA, the law that was passed by the National Assembly. The PIA, you know what I mean by the PIA. And in that law, the communities, and these ones will link to the delineation, because all the acts and the fraudulent acts about the delineation was carried out by Kingsley Otuaro, as alleged, Kingsley Otuaro and the Speaker of Delta State. After the Supreme Court judgment, none of us said they shouldn't delineate. Delineating the word does not mean you will come and give my thing to Kingsley Otuaro. That's not what the law says. Or we will not go back to Supreme Court. Let him interpret the delineation to us. But what I'm holding to Kingsley Otuaro, just yesterday, he was asked, according to his office, to supervise the activities of our boundaries. In national, the vice president is the chairman. So in every state is the deputy governor. And now, based on this act, communities facing the ocean, that is where the activities of the IOCs are operating, are working, are supposed to be beneficiaries of this whole operation as it affects the community on the PIA. Do you know what Kingsley did? And we are not aware as a chairman. When the boundary commission came, wanting to carry out their operation, Kingsley guided them not to see the Itsekeri people. And he took them, listed all the Ijaw communities who are inward. That is a man that wants equity. And when you want equity, you must come with your clean hands. This man, as a deputy governor, was the one supervising that exercise. He made sure that the communities, and in the act says community that are 500 kilometers away from the buffer zone. And these communities that are 500 kilometers away are Itsekeri's community. The only Ijaw community from here in Delta State is only Focado's community. The communities around Focados. After that, you will see Ugborodo. From Ugborodo, you will see Ogoye, Orere, and the rest. These are communities that is facing the ocean. What did Kingsley do? He excluded these communities. And he connived with the boundary commission, and they gazetted, what's it called, communities that do not fall within the 500 meter. Now, we now find out when NUPRC were trying to set up the host committee that will operate. The committee will now find out that Ugborodo, all this community that is in offshore around the Bufaso, we are not part of what's it called. We are not part of the Gazette.
I understand the points that you have made.
With a lawyer.
Okay, Chief Emami, I understand, yes.
Using Sophia and
all right,
what's
Chief
it called?
Chief Emami, we also have Chief Mene Brown here in studio who also needs to contribute. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we'll be right back to you.
NUPRC wrote to Boundary Commission, go
Chief
back
Emami, can you
and
hear
do
me?
the NIFO. And going back, they now
Chief
engage
Emami,
the security people. I've
if you
got
can
there,
hear me.
The Ijaw community, none of them were there. Only those community from Fokado.
Okay, sir.
The inner one.
Chief Emami, I think that your point has been made.
Today, he added Oprasa, added all this community.
Okay, we'll bring the conversation back into studio while we try to ensure that Chief Emami will be able to hear us. He clearly is not able to hear us in studio. But I mean, there's a different picture that he has painted, which is the orchestrated, intentional exclusion of communities to the benefit of individuals and other groups. He pointed out the Ijaw specifically. Do you feel that there was this very intentional, orchestrated and planned division of regions and people?
Indeed, this is what we have found very glaringly in their actions.
You also believe it's orchestrated by the deputy governor?
Indeed, very much so, and I'll allude to it. Like he was saying, you have the coastal communities facing the ocean, and you have those that are far inland. The Ijaw ones are very far inland, but it sort of swapped the whole thing. That's the issue. Now, to want to see that whatever intent is in that action is also replicated in the delineation issue, and I'll bring it out to show. And that is, as I was saying, that we know that the voters register is INEC's database, the only database they use for their operations. And it is compiled by them. And days have gone past when there will only be names on the voters register. But this time around, the picture will be there, the biometrics will be there, so the individuals are recognized. And they are also in their respective communities. They are linked to them. So when we talk about delineation by population, it is not population in the global sense of the word. It is population as defined within the scope of the electoral register, because it's only for the purpose of voting, those to vote and those to be voted for, and so on and so forth. So instead of doing that, what they have done is to now remove some Itsekeri communities, even though on the voters register they appear. But what they have now done is to create some wards and units for the Ijaws, as they have done for the Urhobos, that have no bearing whatsoever with what is there in the voters register.
Okay.
And this is what we are challenging into saying this wrong.
So when I come back, I'll come back to Mr. Emami. But every tribal group have presented some facts, in fact, facts on ground that they own the land. And I'll give you some instances. The Urhobo group, because I have read through most of documents while all of this started. The Urhobo group are saying, coming back to your claim, that there was a treaty with Agbasa and some other areas in 1893. You were talking about 1894. They also cite the Okumagba case as delivered by His Lordship Fatai Williams, that what they were saying when they were granting rights to the Okere people around there was the fact that all the historical books presented, had not shown that ascendancy from Ginewa, that he passed in Ijala. And they said they have constantly signed treaty. I also have another document here by the Ijaws now, where the Ijaws were talking about, they wrote a letter to INEC around that, and they quoted a couple of court cases supporting their own position in the Ogbijo case that they ruled in their favor. In fact, I also got a document that somebody said that was saying that the treaties signed with Agbasa and a couple of other areas were ratified in a court case around another land struggle in Ogunu area. Help us unpack all of this. That's going to be my question for you. When we come to Chief Emami, my question to him will be, can he give us proof of these allegations against, former Deputy Governor Kingsley Otuaro? Tell us more about these allegations, and have you been able to read? You said you've written with your lawyers what has been done as regards, but let me come to you as regards the claim for all these other groups also.
Yes. Well, the purported treaty on account of Agbasa, the only treaty we know that covers that was the one signed by Doonuma on behalf of the Olu of Warri, because at that time, the interregnum was still on. We didn't have an Olu. Remember that from 1848 to 1936, those were the years during which we didn't have one. But we had our system well in place. We had whoever was acting as the head of the Itsekeri people was acting instead of the Olu. This was well understood. It is on that basis that Doonuma signed the treaty, because the Agbasa land belonged to the Olu of Warri. I've just read to you now.
Yeah, that's the Doonuma case.
Yes.
They also had the likes of the
Exactly.
Chief Oborevwori saying they wanted to be joined in it in 26
Exactly.
and all of that.
That's all of it.
That went up to the Privy Council in about 33, 34, and they still lost at the Privy Council.
Exactly. So on what basis is the claim that they are making today?
But they said most of those treaties are also ratified. They said they cited that treaty in a recent court case around an area in Ogunu, and they accepted that treaty.
Did he point out that case to you? I'm sure he didn't. Because a lot of the time they would use as a blanket, Supreme Court judgment. Supreme Court judgment. What's the content of it? What does it relate to? They will not tell you. Now, with the case of Okumagba, Okumagba's case was not Itsekeri versus Urobo.
It was about Okerewori.
It was not even about Okere as such. It was within. Exactly. Exactly. Now, I have lived in Lagos for a number of years. And if I were to have enough financial resources and would buy a large tract of land and build an estate there, would that make it Itsekeri territory? Of course not. And the people, the Urobos that were in Okere, were families who were accommodated, and the records are there. And they used to also perform chores on an annual basis to express their gratitude for being so allowed. Now,
so they also argue that fact was in its judgment. They also argue, the people also argue that Fatai Williams said that the judge in that case of 73 said they could not prove the fact that they actually gave tributaries or gifts in honor of the land to, these are some of the arguments they put forward.
Yes, but we know for a fact Daniel Okumagba's father used to pay that homage. That included Benjamin Okumagba's father. In fact, it was from the generation of Benjamin Okumagba. They are the ones who are now agitating and playing this falsehood.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sha, for this. This conversation is continuing. I mean, we're able to hear the Ijo side when they are kissing Ogbijo and the Robo side. But are you Emami, Chief? Are you Emami? Where's your facts to the effect that all of this mago in your words was done by Kingsley Otuaro? As we wrap up quickly, 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
If you look at my left hand, Rafai, look at my left hand, you will see the gazetted, document that was authenticated by Kingsley Otuaro and the boundary adjustment. This is the one they did and we wrote against. You can look at it, you can see. Rafai, look at the one they asked the boundary commission by NSS office and NUPRC to go and carry fresh, identification of those community within 500 meters. Rafai, you can see the map. This is the map from NUPRC. And going back, we just finished that. I can remember vividly well the day Ondo State Governor was sworn in. That was the day we went back to the sea. Now coming back with this, They could not include us. What you will see on this map now, from Focado's area, this latest one, you will see Godfrey Mene, Pondi Mene, because they want to make sure that they add enough community. Now, Rufai, the most interesting part, they instituted a case to ensure that NUPRC comply with that gazette that does not conform with the law and the act by Kingsley Otuaro. He said they now brought some judges from Lagos. They renamed them. Instead of instituting the case in Lagos, and you know Lagos people will take it up with them, they came to Warri to institute the case in Warri Federal High Court. If the Itsekeri says that you are a judge from Lagos, nobody will care, so that they will get another judgment, like what they did in the Delineation, when nobody went to court with them. They were the only one that took INEC. I don't even think INEC responded. So we're even looking at that judgment. So on that note, they wrote to NUPRC, you must follow the law, the one that is being gazetted.
Okay.
And we now went to court.
Mr.
We're joining Chief. So all these things, I'm saying, it's been documented. The NSS office, we are waiting now. Come out with the latest report. All this thing was authenticated by Kingsley Otuaro as the former deputy governor. It's very painful in the country where there's no truth. And Kingsley to be arrested. Such cases should not be parading himself. A man who worked against the interests of the general public to incite crisis. At any time there's going to be another table of election. Kingsley will want to ensure that there's crisis so that he can benefit. He has benefited once when there was crisis in 2003 as a commissioner. He's coming again. He benefited as deputy governor. He's coming this time so that they will say, leave the governorship for Gbaramatu people. That will not work.
Chief Emami, please, we'd like to get those documents so that we can also put them in public flame. But thank you so much for your time. Dr. Bati?
On 17th May, the Itsekeri ethnic nationality petitioned the Office of the National Security Advisor, raising questions on historical grounds and also about INEC delineation. Have you received any response from the National Security Advisor's Office? Briefly, because we need to
other than to say that they will get back to us.
They said the office said they will get
back to us. That they're studying what we have presented.
But you can assure us of peace in Warri.
Yes, indeed. The question of peace, I'm sure we are known to have the reputation of being peaceful, and which is why we have gone on being pushed and pushed and pushed. Now we have our back to the wall, I must say. But it's not to say that we will resort to violence, because we want for reason to be appealed to, and for the reality of things to be seen and rightly responded to. That's what we do.
Absolutely. Chief Mene Brown, Chief Ayirimi Emami, who is live with us from Warri, we thank you so much, and we look forward to a peaceful and fair resolution to all issues withstanding.